We got to go to a baseball game with a couple of my dear friends and people who are listeners of the show. I think we had a good time.
Yes, and I think they learned a very valuable lesson on that particular day.
Don't be downwind of CJ?
Okay, they learned two valuable lessons, I think, on that day. I do a lot of stupid tricks.
Okay.
One of them is stupid food tricks, as you well know. And when said listener said, oh, I bet you can't eat all that brie cheese you took, because I love cheese.
Sure.
Quiet, please.
And they had cheese there, and I took the brie cheese, but there was no knife to cut the cheese, so I had to take I don't know if you're supposed to, but I took 1/8 of a wheel.
A massive chunk?
Yeah.
Sure.
I mean, it was a lot. When he said that, I committed to myself at that point to eat all of that brie cheese, which I successfully did, requiring him to then go eat a hot dog.
Another hot dog.
Yes.
3.
And it doesn't matter that I tore my second and third lap bands during that experience.
2.
It was a blast.
Company presents a truly terrible podcast. Welcome to Nonsense, Season 4, Episode 39. I'm Jeff Parker.
I'm CJ Little.
This is our take on the week's business, tech, and entertainment headlines. This time, Silicon Valley's evaporating moat, the rise of the trillion-parameter budget model.
Man, I hope this brings back the GPTs of the past. Alta Vista GPT, Lycos Claude.
Sure it will. No? Live Moss, Diarrhea Moss. Taco Bell's shredded lettuce invites unwanted parasites to the party.
I feel like this is very on brand for Taco Bell. Okay. Like, this is the thing that I think they would want.
I love Taco Bell.
What do you get at Taco Bell?
The hot sauce is the best hot sauce on the planet.
Okay.
Fight me.
Fight me.
Discount danger. EU tells AliExpress unsafe toys and dangerous cosmetics aren't just an unavoidable cost of online shopping.
But 9 out of 10 TikTok moms agree the toys with the lead paint taste better.
Yum, yum. Also, our big story later this week from farm to toilet, the breakdown of the U.S. food supply.
Oh, that farm to toilet movement has been very popular over the years. Our poor listeners.
It's National Junk Food Day, of course.
Yeah, of course.
Junk foods, by definition, typically contain high fat, sugar, salts, and calories and very little nutritional value. With the advent of packaged foods during the late 1800s, junk food made its way into the American life.
Yay.
However, home-cooked meals remained the standard for several more decades. Eventually, after World War II, the artery clogging industry took off. Since the population ate out and traveled more, the industry was primed to produce products at an increased rate. We at Nonsense use National Junk Food Day to remind you to eat as little of this garbage as you possibly can get away with.
Finally, we give some good advice on this show.
Try to get out alive if you can.
Starting at 201st episode out, right, aren't we?
I do like a Taco Bell taco.
That's garbage food. That's below junk
I have
food.
one like every 5 years.
Okay, that's gross.
There's nothing in that resembles actual food, but it's
Exactly.
whatever chemicals are in that, it's just delicious.
There's more nutrition in the Amazon box that your delivery comes in than in whatever that is.
How is your week going?
I'm sorry, I can't hear you over the sound of me chewing on my Chick-fil-A sandwich. My week, I have no complaints. As all of our North American listeners know, we are in the middle of summer.
Yes.
And fortunately, California is not burning yet, although it's coming, I'm sure.
Canada is.
I know Canada is. Yeah.
Minnesota is.
Yeah. No bueno. I took my children, as well as some other family, to Legoland, which is definitely by far not my favorite theme park to attend.
Okay.
But my kids love it. I love Legos. I think their presentation of Legos is not the best, but my kids were adamant, absolutely adamant. For months, they talked about doing rope drop. Do you know what rope drop is?
No.
Are you familiar with that?
No.
It's when you get there and you're at the rope that keeps you from going into the park so that you're like one of the first people.
Oh, that's cool.
And then when they drop the rope, you get to run into the park. And at Legoland, if you stay at the hotel and pay the tax, you can get to the second rope. So you can actually get farther on. So if you engineer this correctly, and your kids have no shame and will run in front of other adults and children,
sure,
you can be the first at the second rope drop to get to the new ride, which is exactly what we did both days. Hysterical. My kids, I'm pretty sure, would pass the marshmallow test 3 times over. We waited. And when they dropped the rope, you literally just run. You just run as fast as you can to get there. And they just wanted to be first. They didn't care about being second or third. They just wanted to be first. And I was like, I love this. So on the first day, they dropped the rope and me and my 2 children and a couple of their cousins go take off running. And my poor little guy falls down.
Oh, no.
Like he immediately falls down. Aww. And you know what I did? I kept running.
Oh, yeah. Stepped over.
I turned around. I said, good luck, Jack. And I just kept going.
Catch up when you can, Jack.
And like all the parents around me were like, nice. You are
terrible
an ass.
Person.
You are a terrible parent. But he got right back up, no crying. He still made it to the line. And for 2 days straight, my kids were the first on the Galacticoaster at Legoland, which made them very happy. They were very excited. And the second day, I just sat in a lounge chair at the water park, which was lovely, staring at the sign that says, if you've had diarrhea in the past 24 hours, please don't get into the pool, which I find amusing. They have to write this down.
Just a little reminder.
People don't know that maybe if you're pooping yourself, you shouldn't get in the pool, but that's neither here nor there. So
the massive amounts of chlorine in the pool will kill it.
Well, yeah, it'll kill it, but you still, nobody wants a cloudy wave pool.
Oh, I wasn't even thinking that. Can I tell you something that my kid got to do that I'm going to highly recommend that you find a way for your kids to do it.
Okay.
You probably do the same thing I do, where you know a guy who knows a guy who knows a guy.
Yeah, I know a lot of those guys. I'm Italian, of course.
You get very good at using those connections to get where you want.
Sure.
As a result, my kid got to spend an entire day with the guy who designs all those huge, enormous Lego things. And
that's
how
cool.
He designs them.
And
the computer software he uses.
Oh, that's cool.
That tells him what pieces he needs, where every piece needs to go, how many of every type of piece he needs. It was amazing.
So I think my kids would only last half a day with that particular person because mainly they would be constantly correcting him, and they'd probably be right a third of the time. And the dude would just call him and be like, "Get your kids out of here."
No, the guy was really smart.
That's really cool.
My kid had an amazing time.
Yeah, I think my kids would love that. I'd love that. I mean, I don't want them to go. I got to go first and audition them, I guess.
Now ask me how my week was.
Oh yeah, you have a week too. How's your week?
Yes, I do, it turns out. In keeping with your water park theme, we broke a pipe in Los Angeles on Sunset Boulevard.
Oh, in LA.
Before I was up, it was like 2 a.m, but it was Thursday morning, and I'm driving to Runyon Canyon to go hiking, and there is just 17 million gallons of water flowing down the street, something like that, some enormous amount of water filling garages and who knows what else it was doing. It was an enormous, 36-inch diameter transmission trunk line.
Yeah.
These things are huge. Originally built in 1916.
Wow.
The thing is 110 years old. It's amazing it didn't break earlier.
It's closer in time to Abraham Lincoln than it is to us.
Right.
Which I think is worth pointing out. I also can't imagine the amount of water that comes out of a 36-inch pipe, which is just insane. I mean, it's been all over the news. For folks that don't know LA well, this is on Sunset Boulevard, which is basically up a hill.
Major street, too. The fact that you can't drive down Sunset right now is causing all sorts of problems with traffic.
So there were like apartment buildings that were nearby downhill that just immediately flooded. I mean, they were flooded within like minutes.
Below ground garages that were just full of water.
So all your nice cars and the stuff in your cars, all gone, like all destroyed.
Pretty wet, sure.
Just that quick. It was pretty crazy. I feel bad for all the folks that were immediately affected by that, but they're going to get new cars. Hooray.
There are over 7,000 miles of these main lines and trunk lines, and many of them now are over 100 years old.
Yeah.
The particular one that broke on Sunset was scheduled for replacement in 2031.
So we got it close.
There's a 25-foot section that got replaced.
That's shiny.
Yeah.
What's interesting to me, though, is that instead of replacing it with steel, they put in some PEX. They found that 3-foot diameter PEX. It's just a big, it's just a big piece of PEX with a giant shark bite connector. They just slid onto the pipe.
Sweet. Now it's a lot of welding and all sorts of things. Then they had to do pressure testing. The great thing was when they were pressure testing it, they broke open a new leak in another part.
It's great.
Yeah.
I know how this story ends.
Well, that's because you got old pipe.
Yeah.
It's basically, Swiss cheese at this point.
Yeah, I mean, that pipe is held together with unicorn blood and leprechaun tears at this point.
I can't believe we let pipes get older than 100 years, especially the technology used to create pipes back then, which was so much less sophisticated than the things we use to make pipes now.
I mean, some of it's kicked the can. I remember when I lived in Hollywood around the same time as you, 20 years ago, they were lining the pipes with concrete, and I was like, what does this do? And they're like, buys for 20 years. I'm
buys you a little bit of time, that's all it does.
I'm like, well, what then? And the guy's like, I'll be on my pension by then. It's not my problem. I'm like, what?
That's a problem.
Wait, what? You got old infrastructure, and by the way, layers and layers and layers of infrastructure built on top of each other. So it's not like it's easy to just go in there and dig it up and replace it.
No, but you still want to do it. Otherwise, you're going to get 17 million gallons of water spilling down the street into everyone's apartment.
You kind of want to do it all at once. You kind of want to go like master plan
that'd be nice.
For a neighborhood or like a block. You want to replace all of the utilities at once so that they're all organized and you don't have the crisscross.
That'd be nice.
But it's just, it doesn't really make sense because it's not like the Spectrum cable is old enough to need replacement. So you just kind of want to mandate to be like, we're going to upgrade everything. And part of you having effectively a monopoly on cable distribution means you got to do this and just
jump in with us.
Force their hand on Cable Town. Sorry. I'm grumpy.
Hopefully we get that section of Sunset reopened Thursday or Friday.
That's amazing, by the way, that within a week, they've managed to cut out the old section, replace it, test it, backfill it, pave it, and reopen it. Like that is...
Well, you got more steps there. They got to fill the thing full of chlorinated water. It's got to sit there and kill germs and everything that's in it. There's a whole process.
They got to flush all that out. I didn't even think about that.
They have to flush all that out. There's quite a few steps to it.
That's insane. I'm glad that they're fixing it. For as much as I'm not bothered by Sunset being closed directly, I can only imagine the hell y'all dealing with.
It just means the Santa Monica Boulevard is packed.
Yeah.
It's carrying more than twice the traffic.
I guess it's a good thing that it's summer. If it was school season, it'd be even worse.
It'd be way worse, yeah. Let's get to our headlines. What do you say?
Yeah, let's do it.
China continues to punch back against America's AI dominance, the cent per task revolution. For years, the bleeding edge of artificial intelligence was locked behind the expensive closed API of incumbents like OpenAI and Anthropic. And when I say for years, it literally just seems like minutes. It's gone
so
by
you
so
like
fast.
Incumbents. Like, yeah, they're
totally.
The 2-year incumbent.
But a sudden blitz of colossal open weight models models from Chinese upstart Moonshot and Alibaba has violently shattered that paradigm, delivering top-tier reasoning and coding capabilities for literal pennies on the dollar. The global AI price war hasn't just arrived.
Yeah.
It's been open sourced.
And like for China, this is their best and I'd argue really only path to being competitive.
Open source.
They open source the code and open weight.
You want to be relevant, you've got to make it open weight and open source.
Yes, you need both. And they've done a pretty good job. The weights will lag. I don't fully understand why the weights lag. I'm assuming they're doing some sort of...
They'll be out next week.
Cleaning or something. But yeah, they lag about a week or two.
They like to shine the weights before you come into the weight room. That's what they do. They dust.
Yeah. I think they're removing any mention of democracy is what they're doing, but that's just me. But it's really fascinating because you're getting performance now that is really on par. Like maybe it's a month or two behind, quote, behind. But,
sure.
You know,
by Fable 5, you're saying it's close to Fable 5, which came out about 6 weeks ago.
I haven't used it yet, but from what I've read, specifically like Kimi K3, which is Moonshots, is on par with reasoning.
2.8 trillion parameters, which is incredible, and a context window of 1 million tokens.
Yeah, look,
that's crazy.
For perspective, just after we started this show, I was super excited about a single-digit billion parameter model being open sourced.
Yes.
So that is a 3 order of magnitude increase in parameters just in the time we've been doing this little show of ours.
I have a 7 parameter model brain, so I can barely understand this.
Okay, you're down to 6. Okay. But I appreciate that the 7th one, it like flickers. It's like a light bulb that's on its way out. Like you still get some light from it, but it's just not, you can't trust it.
You go to replace it and you unscrew it thinking it's burned out, and then a little light comes on, so you screw it back in.
You screw it back in, and the next day it goes out again, you wonder why you did it. Sure. To me, this is like a page out of Meta's book, right? Meta supposedly had a leaked model that they then managed to just continue to support for years. Llama. But it was their way of staying relevant in the because they just weren't relevant, right? They were like a distant number 4 or 5, and they're still sort of relevant. And I think the folks at Alibaba and Moonshot are doing something similar, which makes a lot of sense. Who knows how long it's going to last, but here's what's exciting to me. The software seems to be getting to the same point around the same time, right? And I'd argue that you have to shovel money into the furnace that is OpenAI and Anthropic and even Google and Microsoft are playing their part to keep this progress going to allow these open source models to sort of pave the path behind them. But at some point, that's going to stop. At some point, and I don't think it's going to stop slowly. I think it's going to stop quickly. Yeah. When that stops, I think the world's going to be a very interesting place for those that are fans of technology. And here's why. Right now, as you and I as consumers, our listeners as consumers, you can't really buy a computer. You just can't. They're all like 3x the price.
They're all crazy expensive.
Everything is up, right? Apple just raised their prices 23% across the board.
It's because your data centers are hogging all the equipment or hogging all the chips and all the memory.
Because you have these massive contracts. They've bid out not just on chips, but memory, non-volatile RAM. SanDisk is up something like 200 or 400x over the past year or two. Like it's crazy, the demand. And once that starts to fall, I think you see some contracts get canceled and some demand goes down, then I believe we're going to feel relief on the consumer side. I think that's coming sooner than a lot of folks would like to think. Like it might be single digit months away, maybe a year or two. When that happens, the software is not going to degrade. You're still going to have these models, especially open source models.
They're not going away.
And I think that gets really interesting. Like right now, if you want to buy a Mac Studio with a ton of memory in it, you're going to spend literally tens of thousands of dollars.
Sure.
That's going to flip, right? That's going to flip in the next couple of years. And then you can run this software. Your tasks aren't going to get much harder. Yes, there will be better models. Yes, there'll be better agents. But a lot of your tasks that you do now are already solved by software you can download. You just can't run it locally.
But you will be able to run it. And
fascinating.
That software is getting better and better and better.
Like I see a world where you're going to have access to compute, some local, maybe some that's in like a mini private cloud that you can rent by the minute because you have all this excess supply of processing power. And the world is going to be an amazing place for those of us that want to build stuff, automate stuff. I'm very excited about that. I just don't know how long it's going to take us to get there. Like I said, it could be single digit months. It could be single digit years, but I do think it's coming.
Slashed budgets, spreading bugs. How the FDA missed a massive outbreak.
Oopsies.
If you've recently enjoyed a Crunchwrap Supreme and suddenly felt like your internal organs were staging a violent microscopic coup, congratulations. You might be part of an elite club of over 7,000 people currently battling cyclosporiasis. Produce giant Taylor Farms is voluntarily pulling all iceberg lettuce sourced from central Mexico after federal officials linked their shredded greens to an explosive diarrhea parasite outbreak hitting Taco Bell locations across 5 states. Taco Bell has yanked the offending ingredient nationwide, but because this little parasite can take up to 2 weeks to incubate, the party might just be getting started for late night fast food fans.
I love that the thing that Taco Bell has removed from their ingredient list is lettuce. Literally the only thing there that's good for you they
It's
took
iceberg.
off.
There's very little of it that's actually even good for you.
This whole thing,
It's like eating water.
This whole thing, I'm pretty sure, is a conspiracy. They just wanted to get rid of all the remaining fresh produce. I guarantee you, there's going to be an outbreak on tomatoes.
How many
in a week.
Taco Bell consumers, and by the way, it's a very specific crowd that's going out for Taco Bell late night. How many Taco Bell consumers noticed that there was no lettuce?
No. How many have noticed that they've gotten some other form of explosive diarrhea? That's the question to ask. They already had it before. Just now they're like, oh, this is a little different. This is a little more spicy. This was like a Mexican version of diarrhea.
Oh, yeah.
How many noticed that there were no lettuce? I mean, I think most of them picked the lettuce off anyway. I think it just gets in the way.
That may be true. It's filler.
So I think now they're like, oh, I should pay a premium for this. The Crunchwrap Supreme no lettuce is the one that no greens, no verde.
The Food and Drug Administration, for whatever reason, has walked this back and said they had a false positive. On
like
the
yesterday,
Taylor Farms.
right?
Yes, on the Taylor Farms testing. They didn't actually find cyclosporiasis in their lettuce, in the Taylor Farms lettuce.
Yeah.
And so they said, not there. And then Taylor Farms said, yes, they called us. They said that the test was a false positive, and they apologized. And then the FDA took the time to clarify, yes, we told them that the test was a false positive, but we did not apologize. What's wrong with you that you can cost someone millions of dollars, and for whatever reason, you can't apologize? Well, and you also make a point of correcting them and saying you did not apologize. I feel sad for you that you can't apologize.
I just think somebody screwed up their order at Taco Bell, and they're like, we're going to get you Taylor Farms, and here's what we're going to do. I'm not sure we're going to get more information on what actually happened here, like why this test was mistaken. I'm assuming Brad, the guy doing the test, just didn't wash his hands after he went to the restroom, and that's how this whole thing got out of control.
It was Brad.
It's always Brad.
It's also 7,000 people who have diarrhea, so obviously there is a real problem.
There's a real problem, and it doesn't help that we've cut back the group that tracks these pathogens at the CDC has been severely slashed since last summer. So that doesn't help that you've got people that don't seem to do a lot when in actuality they do a lot, right? And them being successful means nothing like this happens. So you just go, well, nothing's happening, so get rid of the staff. It's like, well, no. The reason that nothing happens, or the reason we can nip it in the bud, is because you have all of this track work laid. We've undone a lot of that in the past year.
Can we step back on that just for a second? Because I don't want to get political about this in any way, shape, or form.
Too late.
But in March of 2025, the Trump administration cut $12 billion from federal public health funding.
Well, yeah, that
specifically targeted laboratory capacity, disease monitoring, and outbreak investigative networks.
But
and then thousands of employees were fired from the FDA in the early 2025, which included the Human Foods Program, the division directly responsible for overseeing food safety in the United States.
Okay, yeah, I hear you, but listen, that pool isn't going to paint itself. So you gotta choose.
You gotta spend your money somewhere.
7,000 people peeing out of their butt, or a pool that was nicely repainted for at least 2 weeks. Which do you want?
The CDC lost approximately 1/3 of its staff, and the majority of its permanent leadership positions remained vacant.
Yeah.
State health officials have noted this lack of staffing has led to less assistance and slower communication from the CDC compared to previous outbreaks.
That sounds, what's the word? Bad.
Yeah, some of this is just careless slashing of people who did real work, who, for whatever reason, we just thought that was bloat, and we cut it away.
There's just a good chunk of the populace that I think has a very short memory on these things, or just can't connect the dots and go, well, you need people to manage things like this. Like we have the benefit of a global scale food supply because we have this kind of monitoring. Like what happens when you push things centralized is you get great efficiencies, economies of scale until something goes wrong. When something goes wrong, it's going to affect a whole bunch of people.
Right.
So you have to have that management in place.
It's worth the money you're spending on public safety people.
Yes. But this is why we have USDA inspectors go into food processing plants to make sure that they are doing the right things. And if they aren't there, they are legally not allowed to sell their product, which is the way we can sort of kind of force a recall, even though we can't force a recall.
Sure.
You just pull the inspectors, and then they can't, because they can't be inspected, they can't ship it.
Right.
So like those are good things. And hopefully that inspector is doing nothing and finding nothing wrong all day, every day. That is what you want. That is the happy outcome, is them to just go in and be like, nope, there's nothing here.
We were tracking 7 pathogens, food related pathogens.
Yeah.
And they've cut it down to 2.
Yeah.
So scaling back this crucial tracking tool, the government limited its historical ability to catch and monitor foodborne illness early. The federal funding cuts caused significant layoffs at the state and local levels. For example, Michigan, which became the epicenter of the outbreak with 5,000 cases, lost an entire regional laboratory.
Yeah.
All right.
It's fine. It's fine. Those 5,000 people don't care. Just don't follow them.
I'm sure they care right now.
If you see Tim heading to the restroom, you just got to get there first. That's it.
You don't want to be after Tim?
You don't want to be after Tim. Nope. Bad. Because Tim, he Yo Quiero Taco Bell. And that's not what you want.
What if it's going to turn out it wasn't the lettuce at all, it was the cheese?
It might not even be Taco Bell. We don't even know for sure. I don't even know if we know.
Yeah, that's true.
I mean, this is the problem. You don't have good tracing.
That's true. You think it's the last thing you ate, and of course it's not necessarily. When it takes 2 weeks for this thing to incubate.
That's
it could be something you ate 2 weeks ago.
You really don't know. But that's why you need tracking. That's why you really need tracing.
Yeah, of course.
I don't know. I hope we figure this out. I make fun, but I really do feel bad for folks that now have this and are suffering with this. It doesn't.
Yeah, sure.
You don't just go drink some bleach and have it go away.
Well, antibiotics will knock it out. You just go see your doctor. You'll get a general broad spectrum antibiotic, and it will knock it out.
That's what Big Pharma wants you to believe. But if you get these, there's these special horse pills, and if you go get these, these parasites are basically like worms, and it'll cure you of this and of COVID, and it'll clear up your skin all at the same time.
All at the same time.
It's a magic drug. Yeah. They just don't want you to know about it.
Amazing how that works. This is the work of Elon Musk and the department, the Doge department, with all the slashing and burning they did.
We are going to get a lot of letters about this episode. I just can't wait.
It's fine.
All written in crayon, so I know the source.
But it's okay because all of these things are documentable. They did happen.
This is all true. Yeah. Like, this is what you wanted.
Cheap thrills, expensive fines. AliExpress breaks the bank with largest tech penalty in EU history. If you've ever bought a knockoff designer jacket for $4 or an eyeshadow palette that gives your eyelids a questionable lingering rash, the European Union has some good news for you. On Monday, the EU slapped Chinese e-commerce giant AliExpress with a record-breaking €550 million fine. That's roughly $630 million for basically treating consumer safety like an optional suggestion. This marks the absolute largest penalty ever handed out under the Digital Services Act, easily beating out the fines previously given to Temu and Elon Musk's X.
I love this. This is great. I have no idea how they're actually executing upon this, but this is lovely. This is the problem I think we've been having with a lot of the, it's the Wild West when selling things off these direct-to-consumer sites from overseas.
Sure.
They don't seem to care at all about consumer protection. They just want to sell the thing for the thing and move on to the next thing. That's it.
Well, they are just a facilitator of other shops.
Yeah.
It's a little bit like you go to AliExpress, it's like you're in a mall and there's a whole bunch of other people who are selling things and they're just one of them.
Somebody somewhere has to suffer the consequence of selling things that are not safe.
Right.
And at some point you just can't play whack-a-mole with all these vendors and brands.
Right.
My experience has been you can just buy whatever you want. Like somewhere on AliExpress, you can just buy heroin. They'll just ship it to you. It's fine. It's not even safe heroin. It's just heroin.
It's Silk Road.
Direct from the source. I get they're aggregating a bunch of sellers. Yeah, I understand that, right?
They're a shopping
much like Amazon does. Yeah. Ultimately, I think they should have the burden of policing this stuff and making sure that it's compliant with wherever it's being sold. I don't think that's unreasonable. They have no incentive by which to do this.
Yeah.
And I think this gives them an incentive. Like, if you get this fine to stick, this gives them a real incentive. And I'm very curious to know what the enforcement policy would be for the EU if they were to not follow this. Like, what are you going to do? Are you going to block shipments from all these providers that are not Temu or AliExpress, but all the individual providers?
They're going to block your IP. They're going to block your store.
Oh, I don't know.
AliExpress will go dark.
Is that the answer? Is the answer that we're going to basically run our own great firewall? I don't know. That's fascinating. I didn't think about that. That's kind of fascinating.
Yeah.
So I'm glad they've done this. I can't think of any other mechanism by which to get these providers, whether it's the sellers or the aggregator of the sellers, to comply.
Yeah.
And that's really problematic. Like, I love cheap stuff as much as the next person, I guess, but you want it to be safe.
Yeah.
I've ordered stuff off AliExpress and Temu, plenty of stuff. I will no longer buy anything that connects to my main power from those sites unless I can find real quality reviews of it. And then even still, I take it apart when I get it home.
Most of the things that I've bought, you could have bought the exact same thing from Amazon, and it's something that I would have used comfortably. So I felt comfortable with the electronics inside of it. I've not had any problems with that.
Sure, but Amazon has a similar problem. I just think they do a better job of pushing most of it out, but similar problem. I mean, there's plenty.
Yes and no. I mean, the USB cord thing was fascinating. What happened with USB cords was Amazon was selling all sorts of USB cords. Many of them were not meeting the standard of what a USB cord is.
Yeah.
And that's a very definable thing.
Yeah.
There was a guy at Google, just an employee of Google, who took it upon himself to start testing every single USB cord sold on Amazon.
Were these the USB-C, like early in the USB-C days?
Yes, early USB-C.
They just weren't compliant at all.
And then he would publicize and say, this is the list, this is the thing. Finally, after he pestered them, Amazon paid attention to his list, took heed, and started taking the things off market that were not up to the standard.
Yeah.
Not a hard thing to test, by the way.
We have gotten used to deferring this responsibility to others and to other organizations, which I think is the right thing to do. For example, in the US, the best org for this is the Underwriter Laboratories, right? The UL.
Yes.
And there are so many things where I'm like, I'm not, that thing has no certification. I'm not touching it. Like, oh, it's got a UL certification. I'm like, it says that on the ad, but have you pulled the cert? And do you know that the cert's actually to that product? My general view on this is if there's no brand reputation at work, for the most part, I'm probably not going to touch it.
You and I feel very differently about the branding thing. I don't think the branding thing gives you any protection at all.
I think they have skin in the game because they're going to be so much more tarnished if a bunch of Logitech, plug-in thread home adapters that power my lights, if a bunch of those catch on fire and burn houses down, Logitech has real reputational risk, right? Real market cap.
Okay, enough of the headlines. In fact, enough of the episode. We have to get out of here. Special thanks to our floor director, Martina Chaconis.
Thanks, Martina.
We'll be back later this week with the microbes making America sick. Oh, we'll look forward to that.
Are we interviewing all the microbes? Like, are they coming on the show?
We should. That'd be great. Until then, thank you for listening to all this nonsense. I'm Jeff Parker.
I'm CJ Little.
Hasta el baño.
I have good news.
Yes.
All this talk, and I know what you're thinking about the whole time.
Yes.
Thinking about your food supply, and I know that you're thinking, and good news, there is a new way to stretch your butter supply.
Oh, I like that. How do you do that?
You take the waste out of butter spreading, make our butter last longer with the thrifty new butter conditioner in the Hotpoint electric refrigerator.
I'm going to stay away from the milk and as much of the butter as possible.
You speak for yourself. This is just one of many outstanding economies and advantages Hotpoint brings you today.
Oh, Hotpoint. Fantastic.
5 other zones of planned storage are easily adjustable for every type of food.
Oh, wow.
See the new Hotpoint refrigerator at your dealer.
So there are different temperature zones within the refrigerator.
Well, yeah, 5 of them, namely.
Okay.
So
I don't know.
The new Hotpoint freezer has 3 sliding wire baskets, 3 of them, that enable you to group frozen foods, remove them easily.
Oh, wow.
This new freezer has illuminated interior,
a fridge light,
lift top and dial controls, and it's available soon at a Hotpoint dealer near you.
Wow.
Starting at $2,500.
Wow.
You can compare its quality, its performance, and its price. You'll discover value for value, feature for feature. Hotpoint is the best refrigerator buy.
I don't know if I want a fridge called Hotpoint.
It does seem counterintuitive, doesn't it? Now, I've read this ad almost verbatim from when I pulled it, and I'm telling you, it is written in a different level of English than I'm accustomed to. Like, I just feel like there's a whole bunch of words missing.
Yeah.
The price I gave you is adjusted to today's dollars.
I was going to ask you that. That's got to be $2,500.
$2,500. Yeah. $2,500. Hotpoint, the brand, gives this away a little bit. Butter, I guess, technically gives it away a little bit, right? I've only been churning butter for a couple hundred years.
I have no idea what gives it away. I think Hotpoint's still a live brand. I think there are still Hotpoint things you can buy.
Yeah, take a guess on year on this. This is a non-easy one, but we did food, and I felt like I had to do this here. So take a guess on year.
5 compartments, different temperatures. There's no mention of things like ice in the door and water in the door. So that's going to put you like pre-1970.
Yeah.
The importance of butter, I'm picturing a housewife in the 50s. So I'm going to go with 1950.
Good guess. I was guessing late 50s, early 60s. No, you're very close. 1946.
Oh, wow. That was closer than I thought I would be.
This felt technically advanced to me for 1946.
Oh, yeah?
Also, I'd like to point out, $2,500 isn't really that bad for today. Yeah, you can buy $1,000 fridge. They've gotten a third of the price. My point is, this was a high-end fridge, right? They range from $150 to $250 in 1946, which is about $2,500 to $4,000 today. So the top-end fridge range has gotten higher, but like you can walk into a Best Buy and buy a fridge like this for $2,500 right now. You can also buy a $1,000 fridge, but I just was like, oh, interesting. In 70 years, 80 years, fridge costs haven't really changed much.
No.
You got a cheaper end and a higher end, but like the middle of the road is kind of the middle of the road. I mean, look, you just came home from beating the Germans.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And now what you want is better butter. And here's how you get it. This is what you do to get it. The Hotpoint freezer, starting at $2,500, available today at a dealer near you in 1946.